these teams right now.
All right, how about the Battle of Kakalaki here? North Carolina, South Carolina. North Carolina 2.5-point favorites, 64.5 the total in this game. Total's been hit up. Hey, it's a North Carolina game. We know what this team was last year. All offense, not a lick of defense from the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I think people still have that resonating in their minds when they look at a North Carolina game on the board. And so I think that's a huge piece of why this total's been bet up the way it has. And obviously, look, big Drake May fan. I do think their offense is going to be lethal at North Carolina. Drake May showed you what he could do last year at quarterback for the Tar Heels. And look, he was following some huge footsteps coming in too, because Sam Howell was outstanding for North Carolina. He's got to replace him. And of course, we're now going to see Sam Howell starting for an NFL team this year with Washington. And, you know, he had to replace Sam Howell. And North Carolina has found that with Drake May. He is that good. You know, they've got tons of weapons to work with once again this season. They've got, you know, solid offensive line once again. They're going to be able to score points. There's no question. Elijah Green, Amari and Hampton at running back, Devontae Walker, Nate McCollum at receiver, although Walker's questionable for this opening game. They're going to be fine offensively. The question is going to be on the defensive side of the football, where we know this is where this team had their fucking issues last year. And really, they've had their issues under Mac Brown every year since he's been the head coach there. And Gene Chizik, fourth year. I'm surprised he's still the DC there, because to be quite honest, this defense has been so bad at times that it's grounds for firing your defensive coordinator. And yet here we go again with Gene Chizik, you know, still the defensive coordinator for this program. So until he's removed from his post, I don't know if I have confidence in this defense getting better. Now, look, the linebacking core is very experienced. You know, the defensive line should – now, in terms of experience, they've got a lot more of it. But is it good experience? Because they weren't very good last year. That's the question. It's nice to have experience, but when you sucked last year, you know, are you going to be able to take that step and improve? That ends up being the question. And look, for South Carolina on offense, it was a horrible first half. And then Spencer Rattler turned into like a Tom Brady or something down the stretch of last year. What he did down the stretch was insane. I mean, he's just lighting up every defense he faced down the stretch of last season. It was a huge turnaround from Spencer Rattler leading that Gamecocks offense. To me, I think he can move the ball against this team. And I certainly think North Carolina, their offense, even against good defenses, can move the football. So I agree with this total moving the way it has up to the mid-60s. I could see points in this game for sure. I think North Carolina is a better football team entering the season personnel-wise than South Carolina, but we're still talking about we're laying points with a very highly questionable defense, highly suspect defense. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Yeah, even a couple points, you know, on the road, it just, it goes against a lot of my stuff. I bet, especially in football, college football, bad defenses laying points on the road. And they do. Drake May, he is very good. You know, he lost a few, but they're loaded. They got tons of receivers. He has tons of weapons. I don't know how much changes. They got new OC too with Lindsey, but I think they just keep rolling there. The questions on the defensive side, and we've talked about pathetic this defense has been for North Carolina. And it kind of, you know, they started out so great and fell apart. We were all talking about how they're kind of frauds. And I think what they lose their last 3 or 4 games last year. And what are we going to get from Rattler? I mean, this guy, put your money back in this guy. And, I don't know what we get. The guy who was just horrible, and then he had some crazy games late. There should be points, like you talked about. It's just, do we get over the mid-60s in this one? You know, he had a lot of bad pressure, that offensive line, and I don't know if it's any better for South Carolina. He took a lot of sacks, and it doesn't look much. I don't know if it's better at all for South Carolina. They have a few good guys. Wells, they have a transfer tight end, Trey Knox, to help out. And maybe they have the better defense, but I don't know. I think it's South Carolina, you know, on defense at times last year got into some crazy shootouts. So I think we get plenty of points, and I'm just off the side here. This is not a game I want to get involved with.
I got to admit, I think it's with all due respect to Mac Brown, you know, I actually give a coaching advantage to South Carolina. And we saw this, and Shane Beamer, I like what I'm seeing now entering his third season. They're good on special teams. They're very good kick returns and kick coverage. And so many of their games last year, they were boosted by special teams. And as you'd expect, Frank Beamer was a special teams master. So it's not surprising to see the chip off the old block, the apple not fall far from the tree with the son, Shane Beamer, having a good special teams unit with South Carolina. So, and it makes up for, the offense and defense was hit or miss last year for South Carolina, but coaching advantage when you have all summer to prepare for your opening game. What coaching staff do I want to trust? Mac Brown's staff or Shane Beamer's staff? I think I'm in the Beamer camp with that, quite honestly.